Welcome back, friends. Request everyone, and especially for the last seat, last row of the seat, to come forward. आगे काफी सारी सीटें खाली है. Friends, change is no longer an option. It is a reality. Technology, regulations, and expectations from our profession are evolving rapidly. In such time, the role of a CA or tomorrow demand adaptably continuous learning and a forward-looking mindset. क्योंकि फ्रेंड वक्त के साथ जो चल न सके वह पीछे छूट जाता है और जो बदलाव को अपनाए वही कल का सीए कहलाता है. And to guide us on this very relevant subject, CA for tomorrow in the changing world, we are privileged to have with us CA Robin Banerjee, a professional known for his progressive thinking, practical insights, and deep understanding of the evolving business environment. To give a quick profile of him, I request CA Varsha Todi to give a brief profile.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity to introduce CA Robin Banerjee. CA Robin Banerjee is the chairman of Nucleon Research Private Limited, a global clinical research company. Before this, he was a managing director in Caprihans India Limited. Earlier, he had served as CXO in global companies like Hindustan Unilever, ArcelorMittal Germany, Thomas Cook, SR Steel, and Suzlon Energy. Robin sir is a chartered accountant, cost accountant, company secretary, and MCOM. He is currently the chairman of CII Western Region for Committee on Ease of Doing Business and Responsible Business, and a senior vice president of Council of European Union Chambers of India. He is a member of Board of Studies for Independent Directors at the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, Government of India. He is also a member of Board of SME Chamber of India. He serves as an independent director in several companies and is a member of board of several education and management institutions. He has recently received 2 Hall of Fame awards. First, for manufacturing from Manufacturing Today magazine in February 2024. Second, for finance from CFO India magazine in September 2024. He has authored 3 non-fictional bestsellers. First, Corporate Frauds, Bigger, Broader, Bolder, published in 2022 and is an Amazon bestseller. Second, Who Blunders and How, published in 2019, a national bestseller. And lastly, Who Cheats and How, published in 2015, available in English, Hindi, and Marathi languages, also an Amazon bestseller. With great pleasure, I would invite CA Robin Banerjee to enlighten us with this regarding topic. Thank you.
Along with Nidhi to give one more appreciation.
This one. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, my fellow chartered accountants. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. There's a lot of space. I can't. All the back pages come here. I assure you, you will learn something different. The advantage of being there, I know that you can sleep and quickly go out, but you can go from here also. You can sleep better. No one is a picture that you're sleeping or you want to go out today. But the fact that on a Sunday morning, you guys have come to hear a subject which is completely uncharted territory, thanks. We are going to talk about the future. We are going to talk about the future of the world. Future of India. Future of humanity. Especially in the space. When we talk about CA, we talk about accounting and finance fraternity, which could include tax or whatever. I don't have presentation. I think presentations are very boring, and I was sitting last page and I didn't see what presentation was. So thank God you don't have to say, I could see it, so I could understand it. As I said, it's uncharted. It'd be nice to be interactive as we go along because I don't have the answer for everything. And who knows the future? And we are trying to do a little bit of crystal ball gazing, and I do a crystal ball gazing based on information available as a plan. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, in life we always take decisions based on information available now. And if the information changes, decision making or decision needs to change. Don't stick to a decision just because you decide the other, but you decide there was some information which you had which is no longer valid today. I will speak to various tasks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try to paint the picture from I concept of all angles, several angles, so that you all can at hopefully 1 o'clock. I think 1 o'clock is my last quote unquote. After that, I shall not ask you to stay, and obviously can sleep after that. Hopefully, I do hope that you are better equipped to fight this uncertain world, which we really have. The world is very uncertain, and why it is uncertain, also I'll try to explain. The world, of course, is uncertain because of madman called Mr. Trump. He's completely mad. I'll tell you why I say he's mad. When he was the first term of the US presidentship, Harvard Business School tried to say, it's Trump, so status. How does it mean? Because obviously we know that you can't predict how he thinks. So Harvard Business School actually did a study, and I don't know how they did it. They found out that if a Trump, when he sleeps in the night, and if he gets down from the left-hand side of the bed, South Korea is good. But he gets up from the right side of the bed, North Korea is good. But the problem is, उसका wife कहाँ सोता है, उसको समझ नहीं आया. Okay. So having said that, I first didn't pay the global picture and try to explain where our country is and some of it in the refer. Can you all hear? Yes. You can? Love it. Excellent. There's still some seats here. You can still sit here and sleep, no problem at all. I assure you, we shall not take pictures, but it's nice to sit out And it is different. I don't have a presentation. It is uncharted territory. You can ask questions, and we can actually come to some conclusions as we move around. The global GDP, how do you figure out how large is the world? The way to figure out how large is the world is what's the GDP of the world. The global GDP is $110 trillion. I hope you know that. $110 trillion. $1 trillion is 90 lakh crore. Rupees 90 lakh crore. Maybe 91 lakh crore. It depends at what point of time you are trying to say $80. Which is the largest country in the world? US. Any idea what is the GDP of US? Any idea? The global GDP is $110 trillion. How large is GDP? $30 trillion? Exact. That's the number. 28, $30 trillion. So the world's largest country is $30 trillion. The second largest country is China. Any idea how large is that? As chartered accountants, we do with numbers. We have some numbers because we get perspective also from there. How much? $10 trillion? Okay. 80 trillion. Absolutely on the top. To remember, let's say $20 trillion. It's easy to remember that number. So 30-20. ये हमारा 50% of the world हो गया दो country. $50 trillion ऐसे हो गया $110 trillion का. Which is the third largest country in the world and how large it is? Any idea? Okay, very good. Germany. $4 trillion. Okay, $5 trillion, 4, 5, wonderful. $8 trillion, $7 trillion. Germany, $5 trillion, wonderful. I'm happy that you guys are very close. Normally, we don't look at world history. Normally, I have not seen even one television program, one YouTube, which has been discussing the world in this way. But we are accountants, we use numbers to make a head or tail of what is happening in the world. And you will see soon that it will affect our decision making in some way or the other. The third largest country, first 30, next 20. The third is 4.6 Germany. $4.6 trillion Germany. Now comes the problem, which is the fourth largest country problem. Now comes the problem. India is excited. India. I wish it. Japan. Yes. Yes. Japan is $4.21 trillion. And India is 4.19 to $4.20 trillion. With Indian rupee having depreciated just last week, हम actually fourth था 4.22 हम and we were 0.01 higher than Japan, and in 1 week it slipped again, but we are very much there. Fourth, fifth, we are about 4.18, $4.19 trillion. Japan is 4.22, 4.23 trillion. ये है हमारा global का picture. $110 trillion, well, US $30 trillion, China $20 trillion, Germany $4.6 trillion, Japan $4.2 trillion, India is also $4.2 trillion. थोड़ा 0.01, 0.02 का लफड़ा है अभी, वो भी हो जाए. So this is total. It really was important to see this because whatever will happen to America and China is going to affect me because that's 50% of the world. जितना export होगा उतना import होगा सब उधर से होगा. He can do whatever he wants, but that's where it will happen. So much so good. Now the next information we're going to have. By 2050, now it's 2025 or 2026 almost. By 2050, India will become larger than the whole of European Union, which has 27 countries. The European Union has 27 countries. India will become larger than all of European Union. And it so happens, European Union, 27 countries is equal to China, which is 18, which means we are going to bypass China in 2050. You may not have heard this. Anybody have heard this before? Chances are not. The next one I've heard about tsunami, by 2071 to 2072, India is going to bypass the United States of America. India, your country, will become the largest GDP country. ये हकीकत है. This is going to happen. The problem is, I will not see. Some of us, but some of you will be able to get the advantage of this transition from the fifth largest country in the world, we were 10th largest nation, I would be actually 12th. UK was ahead of us, Brazil was ahead of us, Russia was ahead of us. We bypassed करते we did, we will become fourth. 6 months maybe, 2026 for sure we will become fourth. Third, we will become third by 2028. Then it will take from 2028 to 2050 to bypass China. And from China to bypass USA, it will take another 20 years. So that next 20 and the year after 20 is the most crucial portion of India's life cycle. Ladies and gentlemen, you are sitting at a tipping point of huge growth, which is going to happen in our country. Well, CAs, since I checked it, the second हो जाएगा, third हो जाएगा, first हो जाएगा, इसका तो logic क्या है? Logic होना चाहिए. This is what happened. Okay. For the next 15 years, India's GDP grows, real-term GDP grows at 5.8%. Thereafter, if India grows at 4.8%, what I said is, अभी आप बताओ हमारा कंट्री 5.8 और 4.8 में ग्रो कर सकते हैं कि नहीं कर सकते हैं नोबडी विल से नो इतना कर ही नहीं सकते हम तो हो ही नहीं कहाँ हो रहा we are already doing walking 7.6 7.7 7.8 उससे भी 2% भी कम हो जाएगा तो मैं जो बताया आपको हो गया this if you go and sit in a calculator and you see this is called power of compounding. China is not growing anymore. There is a difference. No, that's incorrect. I said it wrong. China is not going to grow the way it was growing earlier. What is the reason? And therefore, I just look into the world a little bit and tell you how is the world shaping, so that you all know how perhaps the decision making is going to happen in the next few years. China had two problems. I'm not getting into type of Ireland was strong type of but he doesn't know what it was. There are two issues in China. The first is China's demography, population is decreasing. There is no country, historical evidence has shown, that has grown when the population is decreased. There is no such example, actual example. Nobody has ever grown. In this area of demography, I must add one very important thing which will affect all of us in our business. We are saying in 2025. In the year 2010, the percentage of working population is defined as 15 to 60. Some says 20 to 55, some says 15 to 60. Around that portion, China's working age percentage of the total population in 2010 was 72%. 72% of the population of China was working age population. So working age means you have two hands which are productive. काम करते हैं 72. As higher the working age population is, more they will produce, more the country is going to grow. India, 15 years ago, our working age population was 64%. As I'm talking to you, 2025, China's working age population has shrunk from 72% to 67%. Our 62% becomes 67%. We are net to working age population. 10 years later, actually 2030, not even 10, 5 to 6 years later, China's this number of 67% is going to become 62% that of India. India will become 72% by 2030. So our demography, forget about anything else, the working age population percentage of the total population is going to cross China and China is going to decrease. This is number, this is mathematical number. So obviously something good will happen to this country. More people are going to, yes, of course.
Increasing population is also a problem. So if we is in a working population without opportunity,
I agree. I think,
I think
yes.
is India is going on.
So, sitting today, we always feel, and I always felt, by the way, that जितना population कम हो गया अच्छा है. That's why हमारा जो था बोला था. China exactly did that. That everyone must have one child, so that you're clearly that less than the population better it is. It is incorrect. What we have to do is to put the fuel to make the population productive, which is education. We have to have a system where employer education has to be provided. If you can train our people, then it's all. That is our problem. We are not able to provide the employer education. If India somehow can swing that into action, a lot of action is taking place, just for information. A lot of action is taking place at the governmental level for employment education. I do hope it works in another 2 to 4 years. Our population will be very, very productive. Having said that, you know, translation, we have to be aware of it. So, one issue is China's population is going up. Now, I told you that two things. Go on another one. As long as you understand what's happening in the world. Why China will not grow and China will be able to bypass China? Very important for us, because based on that, all of you are going to take some decisions or other. 25% of China's GDP comes from real estate. 25% of China's GDP comes from real estate. 1/4. China का हाल क्या है? Everybody has a house. सबका घर, सबका सेकंड घर भी है. हर जगह में रास्ता बन गया, ब्रिज बन गया, पुल बन गया. अभी इसके लिए हम घर बनेगा. Real estate is a dance. Last year, the real estate, which is 25% of the country, grew by 1.1%. Nobody is buying any more house because घर है. कितना घर, थर्ड, फोर्थ, बेचने के लिए घर, तो यही खरीदे कौन उसका पास घर है. So they are up to, so they what they did, they grew. By the way, 1970, I hope you know, India's GDP was same as China's GDP. 1970. Today is 2025. China $20 trillion हो गया. हम लोग तो $4 trillion में बहुत कोशिश कर रहे हैं. That's the problem. China is a dictatorial country. It's dictatorial. It's not a communist country, by the way. In case you think China is communist, it used to be in before 1945. No longer. But it's dictatorial. वो सोचते कि अरे इधर एक वही कॉन्टिनेंट है, उसको निकालो. इधर एक रास्ता बनाते हैं. एक आ जाएगा चिट्ठी और सो गया. वही कॉन्टिनेंट गया, एक सारा कर गया. This is China. And you can say this good, you can say this, you will not get it. But that's China. Coming back, real estate growth China में हो ही नहीं सकता है. It's not possible. if China cannot grow in real estate and the population, working population going down, there is every chance that we can overtake them. Provided we can grow for next 15 years at 5.8%, which seems to be very much possible. As it seems. 7 तो हो सकता है 7.5 लगता है हो जाएगा 8% is where our problem is. Our tipping point is 8. Beyond 8 is where the problem lies. Which means we need employment education. That is the problem. Whether you can ask questions, you can debate, and you can say it's all bullshit. We can do that. But yes, there is a question.
8% GDP growth, which we measured after Corona years, where base was low.
Yes.
Obviously, numbers were high.
Yes.
But it is growing company, achieving this kind of GDP.
That's
Shall be any
You
challenge.
have to think 5.8% happened on 5.8% is low.
Still, I'm saying 5.8 because still base is low. Once we
Yes,
base is bigger,
yes, yes.
that might also challenge. See,
Absolutely. So one only employment education, quality education, हमारा अच्छा हो जाएगा ना, which seems to be going the somewhat right direction. Then, to my mind, 8% is what will happen. India needs to have 10%. Now, there is one problem with it. Whatever it is, we are all Indians, there is one problem. The problem of India is per capita income. This rich and poor divide. This growth will take place. India will become the largest country on earth. But what will happen to our per capita income? Now the 140 crore population growth. As I'm talking to you, India's per capita income is $2,800. 10 years back, this figure was 1,600. So it has increased. It has doubled, more or less doubled in 10 years. ये जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर विकसित भारत है क्या? What is विकसित भारत? विकसित भारत होना है, विकसित भारत, what is विकसित भारत? Sorry, sir?
The developed economy is that.
Growth of economy?
Developed economy is that.
Developed economy, now what is that?
Like,
What is a developed economy? Vikshit Bharat is a developed economy, absolutely correct. What is
per capita income.
per capita income perfect? What did you say? 30,000. Per capita income, $12,000 per head income jab jiska any country with more than $4,000 becomes a developed country, that is called Vikshit Bharat. And that is our problem. When we talk about Vikshit Bharat, we are going to GDP बहुत हो जाएगा, 80-20 trillion dollar हो जाएगा. लेकिन per capita income $12,000 from $3,000 these days. The best case scenario would be $6,500 to $7,000. Some developed country नहीं हो पाएंगे from Vikshit Bharat definition. This you must keep in mind. However, because the quantum of wealth which we can generate in the country, itself will be so good to give us all of us here, enough masala to do a very good. So, my first point of discussion today is that your country is the best country on the world to work in. There is no country on earth that extend to one. Let me go to the little navigate the world. China explain China growth होने वाला नहीं है, not possible. US का problem है, which is a $20 trillion economy, that will grow not more than 2%. Because again, same problem, they have everything. Why is Mr. Trump playing this role of tariff, anti-tariff? Because he has to bring regulation. He has to show to the people, देखो मैं कुछ तो different कर रहा हूँ, सबका import बंद कर रहा हूँ, हम US में manufacturing में कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. But they do not. The common sense says that an average worker in USA salary is, let's say, $35,000 to $40,000. India में तो 20,000 रुपये से मिलता है. So how can on earth people would manufacture in USA, which is 90 times more expensive? What's going to happen? Not going to happen. US will never have an auto sector, a textile sector. It will never have. No chance. A steel sector, not possible. Also, it's still can't have. Why will they pay 100 times for their own businessmen? Who is going to buy them that price? So US and China is saturated. Next one to Europe. Europe का कहानी दूसरा है, which perhaps you all have not read or not heard. US had Europe had only $20 trillion economy, and $20 trillion had. Why Europe cannot grow ability? Because all that what I'm telling you will impact your children. I'm quite sure. The children, your friends, relatives who are trying to go abroad and stuff. This information, all this information hopefully will help you take a right decision. Where should the child study? Where should the child be located in? Yeah. $20 trillion. Europe never spent any money on defense, arms distribution, never. Because they are part of NATO. NATO is not a Atlantic Treaty Organization. NATO is a body which says that US will protect all the NATO countries. So impact of this is उसका arms ammunition में पैसा खर्चा भी करना पड़ा. That was 5% of GDP, which normally a nation spends 5% on GDP towards arms and ammunition. Europe never spent. So $20 trillion ka 5% is $1 trillion. 90 lakh crores they saved. And they did what? Social security. सबका अच्छा पेंशन चल रहा है, सबका अनलिमिटेड एजुकेशन है, सबका अनलिमिटेड ओल्ड एज पेंशन है, एजुकेशन मेडिकल है. आप मेडिकल की बात की ना, अनलिमिटेड पर सबको मेडिकल फ्री, कोई भी हॉस्पिटल में जाओ फ्री, एजुकेशन कोई भी सरकार का एजुकेशन में जाओ फ्री. कहाँ पर ऐसा होता है? उसको खर्चा नहीं करना पड़ता. What has Trump said? What has America said? उनको तुम लोग $1 trillion खर्चा नहीं कर रहे थे, वो तो हम देखते हैं ना, मैं आवामी. That's the problem. They said, I'm not going to give you the problem. You have to figure out the 5%. And that is 5% of your GDP. Out of 27 countries, in 2 countries so far has agreed and tried to do 5% of the budget, others not 5%. Right? And America is not going to give. If America doesn't give, they will have to spend. So they will have to divert money from security, social security, pension, वगैरह, education. कहाँ जाएगा? So just imagine what is Europe going to head for next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Europe will be in turmoil. People already in France, there is a move that people have to work up to 65 years. 61, 60 years, then 62 years retirement, 62 years, 65. I hope you know France was burning because people got themselves. But the Mazar no after 60 years. तो काम करते हैं, Italian, French, German, you don't want to work up to 60 years. It's not like you might be, करते रहते. So Europe cannot grow anymore because they have to divert their resources to get elected. You forget about the infrastructure and putting plant, machinery, equipment, power. होने वाला नहीं है. Europe will not grow by 1%. US will grow at 1.2 to 1.8%. Europe will grow at around 1%. China can never cross 5%. It will be very difficult for China to cross 5%. Very difficult, almost impossible. I think 3%. That also is the Chinese people are very hardworking, they will do it. So we thought of India, Europe, China, US. It leaves our needs. It leaves our needs. Big one. Africa, South America, Middle East. By 10 years, another 10 years, okay. Today, as I'm talking to you, the price of oil, which was $80 per barrel, 1 year back, now it's around $65. Why is it so? What did you say? Supply no? कहाँ से supply आया? Russia, Venezuela, US,
Iraq.
yes. US, उसका हालत इतना खराब है. They have realized that why is Trump says dig and dig more, because Trump says we can't grow currencies unless we could get some oil. So they have started getting oil from fracking. You know what is fracking? Not from oil which necessarily not generally available at the oceans, and you dig a well in the ocean. Fracking is on the ground. You dig it, then under high pressure, you put high pressure in the ground, and when high pressure ground happens, the gas gets the ground gas comes out, and that is fracked gas or fracked oil. The fracking has enhanced significantly, and that is giving more oil in the world. But with the sustainability movement in the earth, and people have gone to EV cars and sun, solar, and wind, the quantum of oil requirement in the world is going to go down. By 2030, it is predicted the price will become $50, and by 2070, the price will become $30. So give and take $5. This is based on all demand supply का mathematics करके हमारा फिगर लिया JP Morgan का नंबर है, अमेरिकन का बैंकर क्या नंबर है, ये $30 प्राइस होने वाला है. तो $30 प्राइस होगा, मिडिल ईस्ट बचेगा क्या? All of Middle East smokers. Why do you think Saudi Arabia is asking women to drive? Why do you think Saudi Arabia is saying, "Mama, restaurant में आजा खाना खाने no problem." Why do you think all this is happening? They're not doing. They have to create demand. They were creating women aside, women will enjoy. He said, no, unless women comes to the working level, the demand is not going to take place. What will happen to Saudi Arabia? So this is in deep shape, primarily because price of oil is going to go down every year. It is very good for India. India is an importer of oil. 90% of petroleum we import. And for every dollar, this is $2 billion. For every dollar of barrel price reduction. So, yeah, Middle East, South America, and Africa. Africa was talked about that that's the new next year. The problem in Africa is they're born corrupt. They're born corrupt. Corruption is in their heart, mind, stomach, whatever. So if a country or the region, human population are corrupt, what will happen? Nothing. Africa cannot come out of this darkness. They have tried for the last 100 years. I cannot see how unless somebody like Mahatma Gandhi or somebody that comes up in Africa and changes the whole ecosystem, which there is nobody. Nelson Mandela looked to be a possibility, but he couldn't even go beyond South Africa. He should have become Africa's God, if I may say so, but he couldn't do that. Africa. South America doesn't have good resources. There are pockets of oil, but if oil comes down, what will do with the oil? For instance, Venezuela. Why America is fighting Venezuela? You think America is fighting Venezuela for drugs? No. America wants to control the oil in Venezuela. It's politics. वो भी जो होगा. So UK तो खत्म हो गया. United Kingdom is over. उसका कहानी खत्म हो गया. अभी जब तक वो नाम है, जब तक वो डेट नहीं लीजिए, तब तक चले. No problem. In any case, you can see who all are becoming the leaders of the country. So having said that, Australia is completely export oriented. Australia is only minerals. They sell minerals to China. If China does well, Australia can does well. If China doesn't do well, Australia is finished. New Zealand is a small little island. In any case, it's a very poor country. It is not a rich country at all. If you go to New Zealand, you will actually see people are driving rocket cars. In Australia, people drive BMW and Mercedes, but not in New Zealand. New Zealand is a very poor country. It is overrated from us. It's a beautiful country, perhaps the most beautiful country on earth. There is no better beautiful country than New Zealand, but not in terms of growth. If you did this, you may debate with me, is absolutely tic-tac maybe about I will be 80-90% right. If this is the picture of the world, which country would go to? Pakistan. Pakistan has taken 27 times more from Ireland. I would believe it. 27th Ireland foreign they did last. What shit is? Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, so there is not a country that we live. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the country to live. And do not propagate that our children needs to go to US, needs to go to US to Niwa, Canada to Niwa, these are your job.
Gift city group.
Huh?
Gift city group.
Gift city is greatness. Gift city is enhancing. I don't know how much you are in touch with the gift cities. Now you can get down there in gift city. But do anything like that, no problem. This is your double kill.
India, Andaman.
Sorry, sir.
Andaman is what is
Okay. This was my talk number one. Absolutely. Any questions so far?
What political stability in India?
Political stability in India. Politics is okay. No, let me answer this. I think you have to continue. Yes. Let me tell you three risks which you should be aware of. There are three risks. For all of what I've said, there are three risks. Risk number one, global warming. So risk number one, and I will explain to you the ESG because you guys need to know what is ESG, what is it. That's a risk. I am keeping it aside. I'll explain to you. You need to know because the ESG, BRS, you guys do BRS. So that's this. Second is terrorism. It's a big risk. Terrorism, to my mind, is more riskier. It's not politics. These do not have nothing to do with politics. Nobody knows I understand politics. But if our prime minister is assassinated, if India did, it's not politics, but that's how it is. The captain of the ship, and it can happen. There are at least thousands of them were after him. Because they want to destroy everything. They cannot take the story which I can tell you. The only way to look at the streets of captains. Captain को निकाल दो 2-4-5 captain को निकाल India खत्म उनका chance because no ship can sail unless they have a ship. Automatically no ship goes. So that's the risk. Third, political stability. Democracy. Democracy is the big plus, the big minus. Why has China grown from 1970 to 2025 like this? Because Dadagiri, इसको निकाल दिए बना दिए कर दो. Anybody was meant to happen to can we do it? Can our politicians look after our country? I don't know the answer. So that is a risk. We must get benevolent leadership. Our democracy must throw benevolent leadership. If someone can do that, year after year and year after year, things will. I belong to Bengal. What is happening to my state? It's almost. Why? Because of poor leadership. Dadagiri, poor leadership. Next state Orissa is doing so much better. It was also not run by BJP, it was run by another government. It did significantly better. Benevolent leadership. It's a risk. Three risks: global warming, terrorism, benevolent leadership. Income, which I already said, inequality is going to take place. That's, we are not going to become a shit path. $12,000 we are not going to cross. Our best case scenario between $6,000 and $7,000 per person. So income inequality is not a risk. One second. Is it a risk or not? Outcome? Yes. We will become very rich as a nation. There will be more Adanis and Ambanis. There is today one Adani, one Ambani. Tomorrow will be 10 Ambanis, 10 Ambanis. But the poor people will still be very few. Some of none ask the question. We have to move on. I am already running out. But I appreciate the question. Go ahead. You need to take a mic or you will not be able to hear. Mic, you have a question. I will take it from you. Why don't you ask the question? You are having tell me your question.
Sir, I think the one more thing which added to the risk is linear migrations. In one of the recent survey, Indian Muslims have started migrating outside India. Like UAE is one of the country which is welcoming the Muslims, and most of the people already migrated. And UAE, considering the oil prices going down, they started shifting focus. They started shifting their focus to real estate as well. UAE already has done that. They started doing that because they know the oil is not the reliable factor. So to increase the growth of their country, they started doing it, and our millionaires have already started. So, in my view, I consider that is one of the biggest risk for the growth. You want to make comments?
How many people will UAE take? How? 10,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakh. How much was 140 crore? What are you talking
We are talking about it. I'm talking about the country which is leading the millionaires.
Okay, I understand.
It's
I understand.
It's the people are started migrating, they can migrate to any other country which has started doing that.
Migration will only happen where the economic development going to take business. I just told you China and America and Europe they are really powerless. But you is such a small country, their ability to take more than 10, 15 lakh students is impossible. Not possible. They cannot absorb. And America, our GDP is 4.2 trillion, UAE is 2.8 trillion, sub 3 trillion. Foreign capital income is very high. That is correct. Top capital, that is very good. But उसका wealth तो नहीं है. And oil तो उसका है. कितना घर बनाएगा चाइना जैसे घर बना के सबको घर दे दी उसके बाद
Post cities है sir.
So it is थोड़ा होता at a very macro question. Yes, I think she has a question. All good? Yeah. Right back. Yes.
External debt that India is taking.
Okay.
Growing at about 1.5% per month.
Okay. Take the mic. Take the mic. How do you, thankfully we are all talking about you, chartered accountants. How do you define what is a good debt? What is the threshold level of debt of the country? How do you define the idea? No, idea.
Back of it.
Okay. So the met, you have to answer.
Saying of debt that you are debt which is used for production. But
Infrastructure.
not for just
So you are saying for productive purpose, we presume all that is good debt. Don't take much of any debt. And good debt to GDP ratio, good debt to GDP ratio, good. Is 40% of the GDP of a country should be debt. It's a good debt. Sure. Today, as I'm talking to you, America is 95%, Japan is 150%, India is around 65%. So we have no problem. We have enough headroom to grow. As she rightly said, that they should utilize for productive purposes. If it is used for infrastructure, very good. But when debt is taken for paying pension
Consumption of.
and paying social security, that is bad debt. Because the debt, the pension and social security should be paid by youngsters who are earning and giving money to the old age pension. So it should come from left and go right, not take it over or debt. As of now, India, as you know, every year, last 2 years, India is spending 10 lakh crore on infrastructure, rupees 10 lakh crore. If you remember last year, in the budget, the number was 111111 crore, 11 lakh 111 crore. It was a lucky number, so numerological number. 11 lakh crore. Every year the country is spending 11 lakh crore. 11 lakh crore kahan se? They printing money, na? Inflation, printing money, it is taking debt only. But if they spend this 10 lakh crore on and bridges and hospitals, and then it's good debt. Bad debt, not bad debt, not bad debt as far as hundred debtors, but that debt which is debt which is bad. It is utilized for social security purposes, which doesn't generate any return. That's the bad debt. हमारा देश की तो social security है ही नहीं. तो लाभ नहीं है. हमारा debt is okay, 60-65% at a significant growth. We have to become Vishnu Bharat, which we will not. But of course, we will become a big country professional about it. I have to move on because there are lots of things to cover. I can actually speak all night and still I will not know. We will still have questions to ask, I'm sure. So, episode number 1 is over. We can move on.
Yes.
Episode number 2. As said, I think now there's small little notes I made as what else should I talk to you about today? There are lots of things to talk. Let me move on to another topic to you get bored. Cryptocurrency. Bitcoin में धंधा करते हैं ना? दुनिया का दस लोग आपका youngsters तो करते ही होते हैं. करते थे शायद at this moment they are not doing it. At this moment perhaps they are not doing it. These people are all sisters. Am I right? All of us are serious here. And you should know what is cryptocurrency. What is Bitcoin? What is cryptocurrency? आपको जानकारी होनी चाहिए. I think you know. Even my institute doesn't. My institute's leadership doesn't. And that's the sad part. So hopefully another 10 minutes you people will all. Cryptocurrency or this concept of cryptocurrency is that somebody will keep an open mind. Huh? Don't close your mind. If you close, you will not be able to understand. Guys, try to understand, then exercise your judgment. It is correct or not. Well, if you start exercising your judgment, then it will be very difficult for you to understand because it is very easy, but you have to keep an open. So someone says, "ये currency तैयार किया, ये currency को Bitcoin और आप ये जो Bitcoin हमारा कंप्यूटर में तैयार किया, if you want, I will give you one Bitcoin, but up say that for $5,000 plus another gig. Started with $1,000, that's the information. $5,000. Then I go ahead. सर हमारे पास बिटकॉइन है जो $5,000 में लिया. आप बिटकॉइन लोगे क्या? भाव क्या है? तूने कल तो 5,000 आज 6,000 किया. भाव बढ़ गया है. मैंने तो भाव बढ़ गया. अच्छा भाव बढ़ गया. हम सबको दे दिया. After 10 days, सर बोले हमारे पास एक बिटकॉइन है, आप लोगे? वेल भाई, ये क्या भाव है? तो 7,000 रुपया। अच्छा 7,000 हो गया? अच्छा मुझे भाव तो बढ़ रहा है। अभी बिटकॉइन हमारे पास एक बेचा का कंप्यूटर में कोई प्रोग्राम पड़ा, ना उसका आधा पता कुछ है नहीं, तैयार हुआ कहीं से, अभी वो $7,000 हो गया। देखो ऐसा करते करते बिटकॉइन का वैल्यू लास्ट मंथ, नो अक्टूबर, 2 months ago, आइडिया है बिटकॉइन का वैल्यू क्या था? 1 lakh, 1 lakh plus $90,000, $1,25,000 एक बिटकॉइन की वैल्यू। What is the currency? First thing is Bitcoin currency. What is the currency? Currency का कुछ requirements होते हैं. First requirement of currency is it has to be reasonably stable. It has to be reasonably stable. In the sense that at least it has to go this way or that. No currency can go like this. ऐसा currency कोई नहीं सकता. Bitcoin 4 months back it became $85,000. Then it became $125,000. As I'm talking to you, it is $94,000. Yesterday, 90%. ऐसा क्या था? ऐसा currency ऐसे नहीं हो सकता. Issue number one. Issue number two. Currency should be easily stored. हमारा पर्सन का जो है easily stored. सबका पास पर्सन can store. Similarly, हमारा जीपे है और नेट बैंकिंग है, easily stored. सबका पास है. Can you store a Bitcoin very easily? In villages, how you store it? Everyone has to have a laptop or a computer. There he has to buy, and it's all through computer. There's no physical. It's not easy to store. And the most important, another characteristic is if you like it. आपका पास एक बिटकॉइन है, आप जाके कॉफी खरीदते हैं स्टारबक्स पे, लाख में 300 रुपये तो कॉफी पीते. Definitely it is not widely accepted. There are 1,200 different types of cryptocurrency as I'm talking about. Bitcoin is the most popular one, which is 60% market share. It is not a currency, it doesn't go by the definition of currency. Choice, yeah, bull. Most important, yeah, आपकी आंसर सुनो. Bitcoin or cryptocurrency has a value. Whatever has a value must have a demand and supply.
Yes.
Demand and supply information होना चाहिए. अभी 14 फरवरी आ रहा है, रेड रोज का भाव बढ़ जाएगा कि नहीं? आज वो भाव क्यों नहीं है? आज तो 10 रुपए में रेड रोज मिलेगा. 14 फरवरी ही रेड रोज 10 रुपए वाला आया 800. क्योंकि people are wanting more रेड रोज, but वो प्लान तो ज्यादा नहीं करेंगे. So supply is still constant. Demand बढ़ जाएगा, price goes up. We have studied it. More the demand, more the prices. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, उसका डिमांड का इंफॉर्मेशन है क्या आपके पास? कभी देखा है डिमांड की इंफॉर्मेशन? आप लोग चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स हैं, इससे हायर तो एजुकेशन हो ही नहीं सकता है. क्रिप्टोकरेंसी सुने हैं तो कभी सोचा नहीं ऐसे खरीदते कौन है? और खरीदते तो डिमांड शेयर प्राइस इतना डिमांड सप्लाई की इंफॉर्मेशन है. Anything which has a value has a demand and supply information. क्रिप्टोकरेंसी का है. कौन खरीदता है? डिमांड इंफॉर्मेशन देखा कभी? ना न्यूज़पेपर में देखा, ना अखबार में देखा, ना रॉयटर्स में देखा, ना ब्लूमबर्ग में देखा, ना व्हाट्सएप में. गूगल आंटी तो सब पता है. उसको डिमांड पूछो ना, गूगल आंटी को पता नहीं है डिमांड क्या है. चलो डिमांड पता है, सप्लाई पता है क्या? There are 12 different types of cryptocurrency. Who is supplying what? How do you
Control.
huh?
Who controls the supply?
Some control? There is no supply information. How can you have a price of a product where there is no demand and supply information. How can you have a price? There is no price. What is the demand? Supply is from 1200 crypto companies who doesn't have any control. I can produce 100, I can produce 1, I can produce 10,000, doesn't matter. As long as I can produce, I can produce. Demand concept. 95% of crypto or Bitcoin is consumed or purchased, demanded by the underworld, terrorists. Drugs. You want a 10 gram hashish? Given here, in the evening पहुंच जाएगा आपको. मैं दुबई को बता दूंगा थ्रू क्रिप्टो करेंसी पेमेंट कर दूंगा आपका इधर 10 ग्राम हैशिश पहुंच जाएगा. नो प्रॉब्लम. पेमेंट कैसे करूंगा? रुपीस नहीं, यूएस डॉलर नहीं, क्रिप्टो करेंसी में पेमेंट करूंगा. Drugs, terrorism, arms and ammunition, prostitution. 95% of the demand of crypto is for this reason. Bitcoin का प्राइस भी बताया 2 महीने का पहले था $1,125,000. I told you yesterday the price is 94,000. It's come down by about 20% in 2 months. Why? You think why? Because Ukraine-Russia war isn't heard of. Arms and ammunition demand coming here. Not big. See? One of the causes, of which I don't know the reason, but I can see the last 2 months, if you see the quantum of war has slowed down. Israel has Palestine का वॉर थोड़ा कम हो गया, रशिया का वॉर थोड़ा कम हो गया, हर जगह में थोड़ा वॉर कम. ये जो चल रहा था कम हो गया, तो इसको नीड ही कम हो गया. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the price of the cryptocurrency Bitcoin? You know, इसका डिमांड इंफॉर्मेशन है, इसका सप्लाई इंफॉर्मेशन है, इसका वैल्यू क्या होता है? See, the value of a Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Please be careful. Because we are scared, I must tell you. Will cryptocurrency ever grow? Future, we are talking future. As हमारा discussion is future, no, that's perfect, right. It's not going to work. Because your underworld, they have found a way to do it. They have found it. This way is not going to go. It's not going to vanish. Unless some extraordinary thing happens, which I can't see happening. Because Mr. Trump is dealing in cryptocurrency. He has a cryptocurrency company. He invests in it. Yes. Now, therefore, it's a financial asset in a way for the underworld. The underworld is it's a currency. Do not ever suggest your clients or to yourself take more than 5 to 10%. That's all you should do. And rest, hope for the best. Not more than 10%. I recommend 5%. So crypto is not going to go away. Don't take more than 10% risk. Recommend it 5. But ultimately cryptocurrencies don't see. What is the Indian situation, legal situation in India? The legal situation in cryptocurrency is cannot trade. No, that's not correct. You pay jail to trade. It's impossible. Any idea? 50%? That is okay. Tax does not. That different trade. Now 50% tax, 30% normal income tax is another way.
Accepted as a mode of payment.
No.
Income tax be paid by?
Of course. Yes, you pay income tax, of course. Yes. Okay. I will explain this. Okay.
I stand corrected.
Thank you. I know it was level. I put it in the perspective. So what's your name? No, what's your name? Janika? At least you have a name. Yeah, it is anything. in India is very important Janika, to understand. Crypto is not illegal, but it is not legal.
It is either.
The eighth acid line. It is not legal but not illegal, which means if I have a deal with Janika, that I'm supposed to give one cryptocurrency, she has to give me $1,25,000 or $95,000, and she does not give, I cannot go to the court.
Yes.
I cannot go to the court and exercise my rights. The Janika to बोला था एक big $1,95,000 में आपको crypto दिया दिया, court will not agree. But if you deal with crypto and you earn profits, you pay GST, you pay tax, no problem. You will not be arrested, but you will not be able to express something, stop implementation. It's not legal, but not illegal. There's only one asset in the world like this. In China, it is illegal. If you have cryptocurrency, you can arrest, not arrest, and you will be arrested for sure. China is terrorist. Ecuador, crypto is an official currency. So they are actually they suffered a lot because the value of crypto become 1,25,000, suddenly Ecuador becomes very rich. And now in the last 2 months, it just started coming down, Ecuador is dying down. Nobody knows why you put that in foolish. This was my module number 2. Questions. No question.
The comments are now.
There's a question. I said, everyone can hear.
Is China right or is rest of the world wrong in allowing or not allowing?
It's very alarming. Very alarming. China is right. Rest of the world is very critical because Mr. Trump has invested in it. Nothing can be done. An idiot for Trump. And no one can be there. It is all for underworld. Yes.
So how can we disclose the crypto in the books?
How can we can disclose? It's not illegal. It's not illegal, that's it. You might be income tax, there will be GST, sir. There's GST in this country. There's no problem.
But this is not
There's a legislation going on in India.
but this is not legal and financial asset.
No, it's legal. It's not illegal. What are you talking about? Yeah, how can you do legal and illegal? क्या करेगा?
How is it board? How is it board? How does one buy?
There are crypto exchanges.
Sorry.
There are crypto exchanges. Okay. You can buy from crypto exchange. All types of crypto. बाहर से तो नहीं होगा. At least 40-50 of them are credit. Yes, there is price of $94,000 Bitcoin.
But which is the platform for trading? Trading.
So that is for trading. Crypto exchange. Yes. It is not illegal.
Right.
Sorry, it's not legal. So the means आप crypto exchange में पैसा डाला, आपको crypto नहीं दिया, कुछ नहीं कर पाते. घंटा. Every day there is a crypto fee. Every day there is.
There is website crypto exchange.
Can US misuse this?
Yeah, everyone should be able to get it.
Can US misuse this crypto thing? Or do we see any this US misusing this crypto?
Crypto is meant for business.
Yes.
Crypto is meant for dealing with drugs, meant for dealing with army, meant for funding terrorism. It is the misuse for sure. आपको धंधा करना है काम ना ऐसा है you have so much money to do it. Crypto is not an answer for modern trade, not at all. It's not covered by anybody.
My perspective of whether US is capable of you forcing US misusing. That's basically what.
Can US misuse it? I don't know whether they will do it. I would like to do this.
That's the biggest.
But because US is encouraging, what the American president is encouraging, more underworld demand will grow. They grow. That's why when American president, when Trump became the president, if I remember the cost of price of Bitcoin was $65,000. Only because Mr. Trump is in the business, people have started buying. Speculation, not easy. Totally, all speculative.
So is this hypothesis correct that since US is the largest exporter of arms and ammunitions, and we don't know where the arms are going and what the arms are doing, whether it is Middle East, whether it was Iraq, Syria, Libya, whether it is Palestine, whether it is most of the Africa, 90% of the Africa is at war, most of the South America as well now. So they still want to encourage the sale of these ammunitions without the training of for these arms and ammunitions.
I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong. If America is encouraging the dunya ka problem, I don't think so. Really hope I'm right and you're wrong.
I'm inclined to believe.
Okay, so module number 12, module number 3. That's okay so far? Most of you are not sleeping and so. No? Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I'm actually loving whatever we are talking today. I mean, I'm not just saying that you are saying, but we are talking. Okay. I feel that the time allotted to this topic of CA for tomorrow's world training is quite less. It's 11:28 and still we are, module 2. I would like to know what are the other modules, which are yet to be covered up in less than 20 minutes. I'm not saying that you are slow, but the time itself is too less. We are enjoying so much.
Like you said, one whole night.
I think this should be part of it. So you are left and
as much as we can. Thank you so much for your kind words. We can cover in next 20 minutes. I think we have 24 minutes to go. Let me cover an important issue. Lots of issues discuss, lots. Sky is the limit actually. More than 40, 50, 60 issues which we can discuss. But just let me pick up the ones which is very important for you people at chartered accountants. I want to get into the third module, global warming. Let me tell you what it is. Perhaps here you don't know what is global warming. Why am I taking global warming? Because I want to discuss ESG, I will discuss VRSR, the report which you guys prepare, you guys sign off. And therefore, I think it's all linked together. But global warming is something which is still for us to understand whether we will live or we will die. I told you risk number one, the world is global warming. And what is global warming? Let me explain to you. Try to concentrate. When the sun ray comes on the earth, the sun heat comes on the earth, the heat has to dissipate back up. So the earth's temperature remains what used to be 100 years before, 200 years before. The temperature should be stable. But what happens, or what is happening now? When you start your car, on a petrol car or a diesel car, you generate carbon dioxide and carbon dioxide. That molecule, carbon dioxide, then where does it go? It starts rising, rising, and it forms a canopy on the Earth's surface. Have you understood? There is now, as I'm talking to you, there is a big canopy on the Earth's surface of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide molecules. What happens? Because there is this canopy, the sun ray can penetrate it. The sun ray is able to penetrate, but the heat cannot go back. The heat gets trapped in the canopy. Have you understood? Now, if the sun ray is coming and the heat is not going, The world is becoming warmer. World is becoming warmer. That is global warming. Implication of that, from the pre-industrial era, and this is what the scientists have found, and they have argued and come to this conclusion. The pre-industrial era is known as 1900. Today we are at 26 or 25. 1900 pre-industrial era, whatever was the temperature on Earth, if the temperature goes up beyond 1.5 degrees centigrade, the temperature on Earth from the pre-industrial era goes up by 1.5 degrees centigrade, the Earth will not be able to produce wheat, rice, jowar, bajra. They will not be able to produce food grains because of the warmth. If the temperature goes beyond 2.0 degrees temperature, Bombay will be underwater. UK will be off to stop, UK will be underwater. And of course, Andaman, Nicobar, Maldives, all that will not exist. Why? Because the sea is going to rise, and it will remain there, and it will come into Earth. As I'm talking to you, ladies and gentlemen, the matter is so serious, you will not even imagine how serious the matter is. 2025 year, in 2024, the average temperature on Earth, Mother Earth, from pre-industrial era, in 2024, average temperature has gone up by 1.54 degrees centigrade. The Earth has crossed the danger level of we dying out of famine. That is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. And we are not talking, we are not concerned. That's the number of this. If this temperature remains like this for next 10 years, average, we will die. We have to take action to reduce this temperature, which means we have to dissipate that CO2, which means we have to now start not consuming CO2 by electricity or energy out of sustainable energy, which is solar, wind, nuclear power. Nuclear power doesn't generate CO2 and carbon monoxide. Doesn't generate. If you think I have given you, I've told you some bad news, it's not bad news. We have to keep at that. Yes, you have a question. Go ahead. I will try to say what needs to be done. Go ahead. Sorry, man. I have to take place.
What my question is, so I had a basic thinking that since this global warming process has been, I mean, talks have already been initiated between G20 countries, I suppose. So it's one part of the objective which has been, solution has been drawn upon by G20 countries. So my question was, I think this one para project is, I think it is related to this only.
Which one para?
One para. By Jamnagar. So because I think they are buying some carbon credits, so we want to get into that business of air, sustainable air. So could you please share your thoughts on that?
G20 does not discuss. They can discuss. The G20 is not the right forum. The forum is COP. Just now, I think the world had COP for COP 28. Just now we finished COP 28 or COP 29. Whatever. It is in COP, there are 95 countries which get together. G20 is only 20 countries. 95 countries get together. And 10 years ago, in the Paris COP, I think it was COP 16, now it's COP 24 or 25, Jovigan. So in that COP 16, the scientists came to the conclusion that if the world's temperature becomes more than 1.5 degrees, the crops will not survive. The crops will not. So we will die. And they actually decided we will have to bring down, and that time it was 1.35. Last 10 years, the kya hua dekho, halat. So you are right, the world has, the solution to that world is to generate electricity out of renewable energy. Simple. That's the solution. There is no other solution. You take it or leave it. Doesn't matter. What is carbon credit? Carbon credit or this net credit is nothing else but, let's say I am a stainless steel manufacturing company. Stainless steel or aluminum, as you know, consume a lot of electricity. And that is the furnace. And furnace is coal-fired furnace. So I am generating a lot of CO2. Then what I say, that because I am generating CO2 somewhere, I am going to do sustainable underwater water harvest in somewhere else. Let's say Mars. So because I am doing something for the sustainable storage, उधर से हमको माइनस कार्बन का कुछ क्रेडिट मिलेगा क्योंकि मेरा तो कार्बन डेबिट हो रहा है उधर से डॉक्टर but the problem is carbon credit उधर हो रहा है तो CO2 generation बंद करना पड़ेगा तब तक ही carbon I have to stop the canopy. That's the problem. India has said India will become carbon neutral by 2070. That means मैं कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड रिलीज करूंगा लेकिन कार्बन माइनस करने के लिए मैं एक्शन लूंगा कार्बन माइनस इज नॉट एक्शन नॉट ऑफ दिस इट हैज नथिंग टू डू विद कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड it can be but need not be it will include water harvesting it will include let's say drinking water generation it will include even education to children is also part of carbon credit. But आपका CO2 बंद नहीं हो रहा है ना इट इज अ सेल्फ फुलफिलिंग प्रोपोजिशन मैं तो डेट क्रेडिट हो गया अरे बाबा तुम्हारा जो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड जनरेट वो तो कम करके किया कि नहीं बता एंड दैट्स व्हाट आई वांट टू टॉक टू यू गाइस यू हैव BRSR report how many of you do BRSR report by the reporting बनाते हैं करते हैं as you know there are as per law 2021-22 top 1,000 listed company in India have to produce a report called BRSR report. Business responsibility ERSR reporting. 2012 में चालू हुआ था उसी टाइम पे BRR report होते थे. Business responsibility reporting और business responsibility and sustainability reporting हुआ गया. Top 1,000 listed company has to get a BRSR report. It's part of our annual accounts. Purpose of balance sheet, fund flow, उसके बाद BRSR report. And I've read the BRSR report. Have you ever seen a BRSR report? It's part of the annual accounts. I've taken at least one person and seen a BRSR. तो एक तो है कि हम लोग BRSR report बनाते हैं, accounts से फाड़ जाते हैं और हम लोग कभी देखा ही नहीं BRSR report. A typical BRSR report goes up to 80 pages. 87. Just the format of BRSR report as per saying, just the format is 45 pages. Can't form. A form fill up to one. I have asked this 1,000 companies में at least 15-20 companies का board क्या आप BRSR report का आपका company बनाते देखे क्या? कोई आज तक खुद के देखे. लेकिन BRSR report बनता है. ये COP 16 से आया हम लोग डिस्कस की if the top companies start reporting sustainability हो सकता है the देश will be a better off but if BRSR report है क्या है training employment gender diversity ये सब भाषा लिखा I don't get because your company have a policy on gender diversity you will say yes. What do you do? Oh, I recruit women have equal rights. ये सब भाषणबाजी था. Yes. Who cares what करते हैं नहीं करते हैं? But what is important? What is the key? We always talk about, I have 10 minutes. We talk about ESG. This is what you need to ask. E is the environment, S is social, and G is governance. If I take G first, governance first, governance is all about independent directors, number of meetings, minutes of the meetings, auditors are given with auditors are kind of this is just governance. Which kind of governance we have every quarter meeting. You have to have independent directors, you have to get the accounts audited, that has to be qualified auditor, that has to be submitted to the government, to the appropriate body, ELG. S is social. And that S is nothing to do CSR. अब CSR करो तो social S का टिकल क्या हो गया? I am looking after my society. कौन खा के आया नहीं? Environment. What is it? Global warming. ये इसको global warming. ये आता कहाँ से? पूरा कहाँ से आता है? कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड से. वो क्या होता है? Emission से होता है. Emission. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to control emission. Forget everything else. ERSR reports. Bullshit. No release. Please report emission. All the companies working in India must produce कितना emission to छोड़ा environment आपका. But we, the CA, should be able to talk and report how much emission this company has emitted in the year. That should be my reporting over. And where is the report? 1,000 company निकाल रहा है. कोई कंपेयर कर रहा है क्या? अच्छा, टाटा स्टील खराब है, लेकिन हिंदुस्तान लीवर अच्छा है, ब्रिटानिया बेकार है, लेकिन कैडबरी अच्छा है. कहाँ है? All these 1,000 company auditors, where is it बनाते हैं? They're spending thousands of rupees. It is going to stock exchange. खा के खत्म. Nothing, no comparison. अरे comparison तो कब? And if you cannot compare anywhere, at least compare the columns where emission method is mentioned. By the way, VLS report does talk about emissions. But it is part of that so-called 80-85 pages, nobody cares. And nobody compares. Which is the best company, which is the worst company, why not? That is going to happen tomorrow. If I have to see a binocular, and what's going to be the future for even will be e-reporting, emission reporting is going to happen. It better happens. If it doesn't happen, we will not survive. And we, the chartered accountants, must take out our cudgels and do something. That ends my morning.
It's our balance between development and as a country, as we are hoping to become a third largest or second largest country. So it's a byproduct that all development comes with the pollution. So how to balance that? Because anyway, country cannot become a developed country unless we.
Good question. I don't know that. I really don't know that. Good question. How do we develop without emission? Therefore, just for information, I hope you know this. India currently has about just some numbers. It's just 5 minutes more. Just some numbers. As I'm talking to you, India has 400 gigawatt of generation power generation. Of this 400 gigawatt, 150 gigawatt is sustainable energy and 250 gigawatt is normal coal energy. This is the current state of affairs in India. By 2030, this 400 gigawatt of power will become 1,000 gigawatt of power. And the plan of Indian government, out of the extra 600 gigawatt of power which they are going to have, 60% of that will be renewable energies. If that happens, it seems to be happening in a way, then the Indian global warming, perhaps that extra CO2 which is getting generated should start coming down. Of course, we have to have a lot of forests. Forest absorbs as CO2. So I forgot to mention that. Forestry is very important. Like Amazon, I hope you know, when the last Brazilian government under Bolsonaro was there, is the righteous party, he cleared up Amazon and started constructing modern amenities, which actually added to the misery of the world. So to answer the question, as of now, it seems that the plan for India's power generation for growth is the right way. That's why this 1 month, 2 weeks back, the Prime Minister has announced a nuclear power policy, where now foreign private investment is now allowed. What appointment? He knew that solar and इससे कुछ नहीं होगा. ये चाहिए हमारा देश में. हम global warming मार जाएंगे. Nuclear is a big risk, of course, and nuclear facilities start leaking. But what is the option? There is no other option. We have to go away from coal and oil, which generates CO2 and carbon monoxide. There is no option. At least here, 30-40 of you have understood the issue. Hopefully, we can be our ambassador for this. Maybe we will become a better world. Yes.
Two things. The one is in the first chapter, it's not working. So what is the first chapter, your first topic that I wanted to speak something on Japan.
Japan.
Toward
Japan.
Yeah. And the second is the last topic. How sensitive you find the corporate food companies to this issue of fee? Because as we normally don't go to that report as a company, how sensitive you find? It's just a view.
So I did not talk on Japan. Japan is a small little country. It has grown for the last 20 years. It is a developed country already. It is an island. So possibility of growing anything more is almost limited. It can't have any new steel plant. It doesn't have iron ore, it doesn't have coal. It has little bit, but they cannot have much more. So Japan's growth possibility doesn't exist. What else will Japan do? They will have to do modern manufacturing. It's so far away. China produces the same things at half the cost, and therefore they can export what Japanese is not. As I'm talking to you, I used to have a pen which used to be made in Japan. Now I have a pen, it's obviously not made in Japan anymore, which must be true for all of us together. So Japan's possibility of growth is limited, especially because it's an island and it has already reached its limit of development. Is a large country, the top 1,000 companies being responsible in? I don't know the answer. Because all these 1,000 companies are reporting to SEBI. What is their emission? But nobody is comparing. SEBI should actually compare. It's nothing. Put it all in the machine and artificial intelligence or some Excel spreadsheet and say, ये company अच्छा है, ये company खराब है. I don't know. Tata Steel अच्छा है कि खराब है. You don't know. How do you know? I have to now go to the Tata Steel, see the balance sheet, go through that 85 pages and see what emission कितना है. कोई नहीं कर रहा है. उसे तो करना चाहिए. अरे इंस्टीट्यूट को करना चाहिए. हमारे इंस्टीट्यूट करे. Why we can't do?
That is only possible if there is some characteristic approach. Yes,
absolutely correct.
Compare say good and bad, but actually.
Correct.
Exactly, sir. It is just taken as a compliance. Because
Yes.
I am as a regulator, SEBI as a regulator, as
Yes, all right.
compliance on me. I just outsource to some entity.
I have 2 minutes to go. I have 1 minute to go. Huh?
Thanks for 150.
150. Oh. So 3 modules to discuss. First module, the country as a whole. What was the second module? Cryptocurrency. Third module was but actually it is our life, our being life. Think what of AI, artificial intelligence, because this is something which is future and it will be good to know. I'm not going to tell you that how to use AI, and I'm not giving a program of AI. ये use करो हमारा आपके balance sheet निकल आएगा. But I want to tell you what I think Where is AI going to be? Because AI is a risk, is a danger. It's also a huge plus. We don't know where it's heading for. So let me tell you at a very macro. AI is unlikely to take our jobs. AI is unlikely to take our jobs. As I'm talking to you, the world is living, AI is overstated. At a very macro level again, by next year, the world is going to spend $3 trillion on AI-related capex. $3 trillion on AI-related capex. 2026, 2027, 2028. Already, as I'm talking this year, the world is going to spend $500 billion on AI-related capex. You all know the concept of ROI in becoming investment. So if the world spends $3 trillion, even at 10% ROI, the profit should be able to be at $300 billion. Yes. Yeah? 10% ROI में बता रहा 10% बहुत ही कम है 12 to 14% होना चाहिए तो 10% पे चलते हैं $300 billion of profit AI should generate. What is happening today? Any idea? How much the AI is generating profit? Is investment. फिगर बोलने तो ऐसा नहीं लगेगा एक फिगर आपके सब चार फिगर बोल it's a loss loss
Jobs are also going as a
jobs are going away jobs are going away
My viewpoint is that I think in mundane jobs it will replace, but high skill jobs it will.
As I'm talking to you, it is in a loss. There is only one company, this NVIDIA, is making $12 billion profit. That's all. Nobody else is doing anything.
They are the capex provider to the.
They are capex provider, but nobody, neither Google nor Meta, nobody is making any profits. All are under losses. If they don't start generating $300 billion profits, the investments are going to shrink.
Yes.
तो नहीं है ना यार और invest by you and me we are investing अरे ठीक है I wait this year I wait next year how long will I keep waiting there nothing seems to be lot of work is going on to show that $300 billion of profits are going to get generated from here there is because everyone is incurring losses madam you are right pretty easy your name routine jobs will go away for sure, but interpretive jobs will obviously get added. At a holistic level, there is going to be a shift. Like when computer came, there was a shift. When laptop came, there was a shift. When calculators came, there was a shift. I still remember when I was a little kid, the calculator used to be done on holodeck machine. बनाते थे और अभी तो है ही टाइपराइटर चला गया there was a shift. Shift is going to happen. But will the world employment shift? Unlikely starts. Unlikely. As I'm talking to you today. The stock market, of course, it went up significantly, all these companies, and then in the last 1.5 months, $1.5 trillion of market cap has been lost in the AI companies. So it seems to be an overrated fact, but my submission to you is you have to adapt to AI, no question about it. We all have to adapt to AI. Management information system quality will definitely improve through AI. What seems okay. What is the most important management information system which every company is looking for? Can you guess? What is the most important MIS a company always looks for? What do you think? Cash, no. Cash, no.
Productivity.
Productivity, no. And somebody said, what is the most important thing a company normally looks for? Competition, one, close. One, quite close. Increase in expenses, yes, that's obviously, that's correct. Innovation, good one, excellent. So all of you are right. But the single most important thing, if we can still make our customers understand, is what is the demand? What is the market? What is customers looking for? Customer information. If customer information, if I can understand the customer information with that site, the demand, how much they are going to buy, how much they are going to pay, a company is going to pay you in millions of dollars because that's the information which every company is looking for. Customer behavior. And AI can do that here. So predicting customers, if you can start working with AI, how to predict customer behavior, whichever field you are in, you could be financial, non-financial, manufacturing, whatever, is something which you must work on. As far as we are concerned, a company continues to ask us for reports. Many of the reports, ChatGPT type of AIs are able to produce the quality. But I hope you know that Deloitte was fined 6 months back. They gave a report in Australia, and that was a ChatGPT report. Can you believe it? I think the report was valued at some $50 or $60 million, and and the report was from ChatGPT. So Deloitte has the ability to pay 50% of the fees back. They should have paid the full fee back, but that's another matter. Deloitte, I hope nobody's doing that. That's an example. It's an example. Even if you are, it's a mistake. I'm sure that partner is a mistake. But things are bad. If you are getting caught, if you get caught that you have used one of these AI tools, would be extremely bad. But having said AI is there, but unlike to take our jobs away, please adapt and adopt AI. No question about it. Time is short, and yeah. So I don't want to spend more time on AI because I do not want to give you a lecture on AI. But the future is it is an overhyped. It's an overhyped development of the world. I don't think we need to singularly worry about it as it stands today. It's not substituting manpower for sure. They thought they would, but actually it is not. Okay. I have maybe okay. One mergers and acquisition. I want to give a little caution on mergers and acquisition. Maybe that could be my last one because it is little different. I want to give a little. As CAs, you do M&As, I'm sure you advise M&As, you do valuation M&As, you talk to accounting, to so our M&A is part of many of our audit so M&A is part of our body. In the world, every year, $4 trillion M&A takes place, 4 trillion. In India, this year, 750 M&As are happening. If I remember, the figure was about $45 billion. So India is also, M&As have similarly enhanced. What I want to talk to you about next, how to do accounting, budget acquisition, how to do evaluation, and how to talk about it. By the way, one sentence you should all remember, when you do evaluation, if it's an equity valuation is all about future. Value valuation of debt is all about past. So remember one thing, and this sometimes you may have to tell your clients. The equity balance sheet is all about stories. Feature. The story क्या what will you do? Like when Zomato came for equity valuation, they said our valuation $60 billion. Remember? 1 lakh crore, 1,10,000 crore. What is Zomato? खाना दुकान से रेस्टोरेंट से लेकर आया घर पहुंचते उसको 1 लाख करोड़ वैल्यूएशन क्योंकि फ्यूचर फ्यूचर क्या बोला जोमेटो क्या बोला आई होप वन ऑफ यू आर नॉट अ जोमेटो वैल्यूएशन इवन इफ यू आर डजंट मैटर पब्लिक टू नो जोमेटो बोला कि देखो हमारे पास क्या है हमारे पास डेटा हाउस वाइफ का डेटा उसका नाम क्या है कहाँ रहता है वो क्या खरीदते हैं और उसका टेलीफोन हमारे पास है कि नहीं हमारा पास है वो बाजार में जाके बताया लोग ये जो डेटा है इससे मैं हम अमेज़न तैयार करना चाहते हैं इंडिया में इसे कर सकते हो $1 बिलियन वैल्यूएशन में आज तक अमेज़न तैयार नहीं हुआ इसमें तब हो गया तो valuation is all about equity valuation per mortgage but debt का valuation interest rate कितना होगा debt देगा कि नहीं आपका what will be the
Debt service coverage.
whatever the ratios will be based on past performance. Debt service किया था कि नहीं, debt payment करते हो कि नहीं, cash flow होता है कि नहीं, debt service ratio होता है कि नहीं, DSCR होता है कि हुआ है. ये सब ठोको. I don't want to talk about this. I think it's true. How do you make an M&A successful? You should know. How do you make an M&A successful? 7 out of 10 M&As fail. I repeat. 7 out of 10 M&As fail. Because every year, all over the world, every region, same consistent. 7 out of 10 M&As fail. I'm going to tell you how to make M&As pass. इंडिया से शादी होता है इंडिया की शादी होती है शादी तो नहीं है तो the girl gets married and the girl gets married and comes to a new home and when the girl gets married and comes to a new home she then has a relationship with the spouse. Many of the women or if you're married, you can have already gone through it. As far as this girl is concerned, the spouse could be the new mother. The spouse now gets a new child, new daughter. Now, see the mindset, it's a hakikat hai. If the spouse thinks that now I have got a girl who will now work for me, पैर दबाएगा उसका काम कर देगा है ना ये अच्छा लड़कियां but the SARS things have a new daughter you should think the पैर दबाएगा daughter को बोलेगा नहीं similarly when this girl comes the girl thinks I got a new mother it will be differently but if she says that no I have got a competition to my husband because husband ko wo that SARS also love and I also love. Because it's saying that man is being love with this two different women. If the girl thinks that in my new home, to my SARS, I will give love. And the SARS thinks I got a new daughter, I will give love and not take anything, the relationship works. The situation is, in this sort of situation, when the internal approach is to give and not take, the relationship works.
Yes.
M&A is not different. M&A is not different. When a company acquires another company, and the mindset is मैं उससे ले लूंगा, उससे technology ले लूंगा, उससे market ले लूंगा, that M&A fails. But when that acquiring company say that I'm going to give, my technology to him. I will give my money to that company. I will give my market to that. That is the works. Example. Suzlon Energy acquired RE Power with a German company. Why did Suzlon become bankrupt? Near bankruptcy, now it's turned back. So when he took the RE Power in German, Mr. Tulsi Tanti thought, I think a German renewable energy company ने उसका जो technology है ना, German technology हमको लेना है. So when Germans thought, hey, Tulsi bhai has come to take my technology, देगा ही नहीं. दे देंगे, क्या करेगा वो? तो तुलसी भाई जाते थे और उसको देता नहीं थे. 2006, 2005, 6 में एक्विजिशन हुआ. 2013, 14 तक कुछ हुआ ही नहीं. 6 years का पैसा जा रहा है. No, nothing happened. Another example where Ratan Tata took over a bottled water company called Himalaya. देखा Himalaya bottled water. Himalaya is a small bottling plant in the absolute Himalayas. छोटे बोतल बनाते थे. Ratan Tata thought that ये जो उसका जो beverages division है, टाटा टी जहाँ होते हैं, तो बोले कि ये मैं कंपनी लेके उसको तो बेचारा हिमालय से है, वो तो बेच नहीं पा रहे इतना अच्छा पानी, मैं उसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन दे दूंगा. पूरा जहां भी टाटा है तो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन दे दूंगा. The most successful turnaround in business is Himalaya Bottled. Because here, Mr. Tata gave, and there Mr. Tanti's for took. What happened? Give and don't take. Every relationship will work on this time.
The 50, 60 odd participants are right. So thank you to Mr. Robin Banerjee sir for touching such burning topics and making us awake to think through. I'm requesting Jayesh Bhaisha to give a formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. All of you will agree that the great speaker has given a very insightful presentation on future of challenges for the CA. He has touched upon the subject from economy to crypto to merger and acquisition to ESG, various topics that in future it will help us to take us through with his words of wisdom and his experience. We are all on behalf of all of us and on behalf of JB Nagar Study Circle, I propose a very hearty vote of thanks for sharing his knowledge. Thank you. Thank you very much.
My mobile number is 900. If you want to take down, I'm happy to be a friend. If I can do anything for you, please do. Let me know. 900. My name is Robin Banerjee. I will give you my card. I forgot I was standing outside my cards. 900 409